Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
I'm your host, Mirko. We explore how data science and AI drive real business impact, straight from the leaders making it happen. Today, we're talking about a deceptively simple lever that most organizations underutilize: data contracts. If your reports are wrong, models fail in production, or teams spend more time firefighting than innovating, this episode is for you. We'll walk through a C-level playbook for formalizing responsibility across the data supply chain, so you get dependable data, predictably, where it matters most.
Here's the promise. Treat data contracts not another engineering checkbox, but as executable business agreements that convert informal toil into measurable value. In plain terms, that means schemas, SLAs, access policies, lineage, ownership, and escalation paths that link directly to funding and KPIs. Why now? Because as AI moves from pilots to production, the invisible tax of unreliable data grows exponentially. Wasted model train time, missed SLAs, customer harm, and stalled initiatives.
To set context, imagine a CDO who owns an enterprise analytics roadmap for 200 models and dozens of downstream products. The team spends weeks debugging a dataset mismatch that should have been obvious. That one incident delays a product launch and eats budget. Sound familiar? Those failure modes are systemic: ambiguous ownership, informal SLAs, no versioning, and missing enforcement. Data contracts fix that by turning expectations into executable artifacts.
Before we dive tactical, a quick sketch of the leader's path. Many heads of data start as engineers or analytics leads and learn the hard way that technical fixes alone don't scale. They inherit product teams who own source systems, platform teams who own ingestion, and analytics teams who depend on predictable semantics. Each group has different incentives: speed, uptime, product differentiation, or compliance, and they naturally drift apart without clear contractual expectations. You need a playbook that aligns those incentives across technology, finance, legal, and the business. So, what is a data contract? At its core, it's a formal agreement between producers and consumers of data that defines the schema and semantics of the data, availability and SLAs, access controls and privacy constraints, lineage and provenance, testing and validation rules, and an explicit ownership and escalation path. Think of it as an SLA combined with an API contract, a security policy, and a test suite, all aligned to a business outcome.
Design patterns matter. Lightweight contracts work for product telemetry and event streams, simple schemas, retention rules, and consumer notifications on breaking changes. Heavier contracts are appropriate for financial or regulatory domains, where lineage, auditability, and strict versioning are required. A third pattern is policy-driven contracts for PII and access control, rules that travel with the dataset and are enforced by the platform.
Prioritization is straightforward but often ignored. Start with highest value domains: billing, customer master, revenue, high-impact model inputs. Use a risk-value matrix. Where high business value intersects with frequent change or many consumers, you pilot contracts first. Keep pilots intentionally time-boxed and small. Prove the ROI quickly and iterate.
Now, the negotiation playbook. Contracts don't emerge from platform teams alone. You need cross-functional negotiation between product owners, data engineering, analytics, legal, and procurement. Start with a one-page business objective: why this contract matters, what outcome it protects, and how compliance will be measured. Translate that into technical expectations: schema, freshness, error rates, and into funding consequences: who pays for enforcement, who gets compensated for increased SLAs. Link the contract to a measurable KPI so it becomes a line item in planning discussions. Implementation detail, versioning, and testing. Version schemas explicitly and use semantic versioning for breaking changes. Automate backwards compatibility checks and include consumer-driven contract tests in CI pipelines.
For streaming data, include canary releases and consumer-proofing windows. The goal is to make change predictable, not impossible.
Enforcement is where many programs fail. A contract on paper is useless without monitoring, automated checks, and clear escalation. Implement objective SLAs with alerting and dashboards tied to business metrics. Define a fast path for consumer-side mitigations, fallbacks, feature flags, or cached snapshots, and a governance path for repeated violations that links back to funding or product prioritization. In short, make compliance visible and materially relevant to decision-makers. Let's talk trade-offs. Contracts introduce overhead and can slow experimentation. That's real. The mitigation is to apply the right level of control to the right domain. Use lightweight contracts for exploratory work and stricter contracts for production-critical flows. Maintain a fast-track escalation process for innovation that temporarily relaxes controls with documented risk and sunset clauses. This preserves agility while protecting core systems. From an executive perspective, your role is to make data contracts a business lever. That means 3 things. 1. Tie contracts to budget and KPIs. Data reliability is a deliverable that earns continued funding. 2. Set incentives. Product and platform owners should have clear accountability for contract compliance. And 3. Decide the right governance model. Centralized guardrails with federated ownership often works best for large enterprises. Measuring success. Track contract-level KPIs such as data availability, schema stability, incident mean time to detect and repair, and downstream model performance delta when contract violations occur. Translate those into financial terms where possible. Reduce downtime, faster time to insight, fewer model rollbacks. Those numbers make the business case tangible. Where are data contracts headed? Integration with MLOps and metadata systems is inevitable. Contracts will live in catalogs, trigger automated retraining pipelines when schema changes occur, and be enforced through policy engines and identity-aware access controls. Procurement will embed contract clauses into vendor agreements, so third-party data and SaaS sources arrive with expectations baked in.
A quick caution. Don't treat contracts as purely technical artifacts. If you do, adoption stalls. Pair technical templates with commercial incentives and clear governance. Start small, measure impact, then scale. The goal is not bureaucracy, it's predictable value delivery.
2 actionable next steps for any CxO listening. First, run a 60-day pilot on one high-value domain. Define a simple contract, automate validation, and measure incidents and time to resolution before and after. Second, embed contract compliance into your QBRs and roadmap funding decisions. If a data set is mission critical, its contract performance should affect its priority and budget.
Final reflection. Building reliable data supply chains is as much an exercise in governance and incentives as it is in engineering. When you treat data contracts as business agreements tied to outcomes, you turn fragile pipelines into predictable capabilities. That's the difference between models and value.
If you found this episode valuable, subscribe and share it with your network. And let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm Mirko Peters. We'll be back with more conversations on how data science and AI create real business impact. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.